Donald Trump has now arranged a meeting. Hopefully it goes ahead with Putin and Zelensky. Then there'll be a trilateral meeting. What can we expect from those meetings? I suppose how many more meetings will there have to be to eventually bring an end to the war if hopefully we get to this point? And there's also the question of just how much territory Ukraine will have to concede.
Well, the American ceasefire in Vietnam started in 1968 and ended in 1973. It was 5 years. And so there's a lot of things going on and between Russia and Ukraine, which will be settled over a long period of time. But I mean, it won't be war. I think a lot of these things are falling into place. And the president will provide moral support and the rest of it, and so will the Europeans. But keep in mind that this is Zelensky's last act. He's still relatively a young man. He'll probably sell or not sell this package to the Ukrainian people, and then he's gone. He's going to go into exile or go live in Paris or someplace like that. Putin's going to be around a long time. He's already, Putin's been around 20 years. He's outlived, he survived everybody, who he's ever dealt with. So he's playing the long game here. And so Zelensky's just looking for some honorable exit here. No, don't get me wrong. The Ukrainian people, they have fought well, whatever the cause of the war. They have fought heroically, and they've acquitted themselves well. And there comes a time in every prize fight where you got to stop, or somebody, they never get up again. So, this is what's happening now. Now, look, Putin will get the Donbass, and he will get Crimea. He may get parts of Zaporizhzhia and other places. He will get those places in eastern Ukraine that have Russian speakers. This is very complicated. I mean, his chance of giving the Donbass are the same as America giving California and Texas back to the Mexicans. Ain't going to happen. Just ain't going to happen. So, there'd be a smaller Ukraine, which is still very large. But look, Ukraine and Russia are part of Europe. You can't make it go away. And so, there has to be some kind of accommodation. Yeah, it's going to be bittersweet, from time to time, but they're just going to have to come to some arrangement here. And if Donald Trump, and I said this, whether people like Trump or not, his personal diplomacy skills, his summit diplomacy skills, are right off the charts, Gabriella, because he can do things that other people can't do. I mean, he's the first president in modern times who said, I'll go to North Korea, or I'll go to Singapore and talk to Chairman Kim, and we'll have a hamburger and a Coke, and we'll talk about nuclear weapons. And sure enough, for the next 3 years, Chairman Kim didn't threaten the United States or build anything or do anything like that. So, Trump has his ways, the one-on-one. But he's gone from a ceasefire to a permanent fixture, a permanent peace, which it isn't too far away from that. But these take a long period of time. And say the Americans and the North Vietnamese and the Vietnamese lost a lot of lives between 1968 and 1973. And, when you start killing each other, it takes a while to get off this diet of revenge. It's a hard pill to swallow.
How are Ukrainians feeling at the moment? A new poll shows that almost 70% want to see a negotiated end to the war. Here's this analysis on CNN.
Look at this. The vast majority, about three-quarters, 73%, agreed with that position. Negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, only 22%. Look at where we are now. It's a complete flip. It's the inverse. Now 69% want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, compared to just 24% who want to fight until Ukraine wins. That's a 49-point drop in this position. Now, of course, negotiating to end the war as soon as possible, that's a bit more nuanced, right? Ukrainians don't want to agree to all of Russia's demand, but I think the idea of even there being some territory that would be not formally recognized as being given that Russia could in fact stay in, that does have majority support, but the idea of formal recognition of Russia's demands, absolutely not.
Joe, what do you make of that? And also, what's your sense? Is there a bit of this renewed hope or energy that progress is being made?
I think the Ukrainian people want to call it a day. Look, in the modern era, that is, nations who get polled on these things, they usually regret. They think things are a mistake 2-3 years later, whatever war it is. With the exception of the Second World War, Americans thought the First World War was a mistake, Korean War, Vietnam War, and all the rest of it. Look, the Ukrainians would like to get out of this. They're giving Zelensky the moral card here to negotiate on their behalf. And so they're not too fussed about the fine lines. I mean, it's just going to be messy. They know that. But this idea that nothing is going to happen until Putin gives things back, that's not true. I mean, Putin has been warning the West now for 20 years about the creeping mission of NATO. George Kennan warned the American people about it. Ambassador Burns advised the American people against it, and French politicians in the past, all kinds of people would see that this was a mistake. And but anyway, I think the balance of power has been restored on the borderlands of Russia and Ukraine. And Ukraine, by the way, was a staunch member of the Soviet Union for about 50 years. They had a lot of nuclear weapons there, great scientists and technicians and all the rest of it. It's not like Ukraine is dealing with somebody from Mars here. They know exactly what the playbook is like. They were good former Soviet soldiers and citizens. And so this idea that they're dealing with an alien being, that's not true at all. They know exactly what they have to do to make this come to an end. At the end of the day, I just think people who fled Ukraine would like to go home, restore their lives, but it's going to take a long, long time to put Humpty Dumpty back together.
Professor Joe Siracusa, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.